15 minutes past 8.
There's a mole right at the top of the circus. He's been there for years.
I need you to do something. You'll have to assume they're watching.
Things aren't always what they seem.
Moscow planted the mole. It is one of 5 men.
He killed our man in Istanbul. Now's the time.
It's all very dramatic, isn't it? Well, it's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That's the film we're looking at with Lena Lamont. Welcome back, Lena.
You, Wammo.
Yes, nice to see you. And Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, one of the holiday films. That's,
yeah. Isn't that an
out.
exciting trailer?
Isn't it? An old TV series, wasn't it?
It is indeed. Well, originally it was a book. It's a book by Jean Le Carré, who was, I think he worked for years in MI6 in the UK, British Secret Service, and so then started writing these novels about spies, which are intensely full of real-life detail. And I think he wrote Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I think he wrote it in about 1973. So it's deeply Cold War 1970s set. And then they made a British TV series, BBC TV series, across 7 episodes in 1979.
Yeah.
And the way my mother tells it, this was the first example of appointment viewing for a British public. Who, like, literally every Tuesday night, everybody had to get home to watch the next instalment, and it had the nation in its grip.
It wasn't Coronation Street, it was Tinker Tailor.
It was Tinker Tailor, just for 7 episodes. And the BBC series is available on DVD nowadays and is fully worth watching.
Yeah.
So, inexplicably to me, 30 years on, they've decided, oh, now we're ready, we can make a feature film of this. And it is a little over 2 hours, because they have to, I suppose, shove 7 densely plotted hours into the movie.
Right.
And I have to say, they do an excellent job. He being Thomas Alfredson, who was the Swedish director of that vampire movie from a couple of years ago, Let the Right One In.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Brilliant
film.
Yeah. Much better than the American version.
Yes, better than the remake. And such a talented young director. The interesting thing about this film is it was made with French money, so it's got a European director and a British/European cast.
Right.
And it's very, very atmospheric, very 1970s, very kind of beige and brown and orange, and kind of muted colours and kind of understated, but nonetheless gripping for it.
Great, and a stellar cast as well.
Amazing cast. And so this was the other key thing, right? 1979, when they're producing the BBC series, Alec Guinness, who will be well known to some of our listeners as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars movies, among many, many other things, Bridge Over the River Kwai and everything. He was already a massive star. This was sort of Alec Guinness's seminal TV role. And he plays George Smiley, who is basically an MI6 agent who is sort of forced into retirement and then gradually brought out of retirement to catch a mole within the Secret Service.
Yeah.
So one of the people at the very, very highest echelon of the Secret Service has one of these 4 or 5 is a Russian spy.
Yeah.
And he is sent in his very, very quiet, very detail-oriented way to eke out that mole. So we've got a fantastic cast in this movie because they put Gary Oldman in as George Smiley. Now, I don't know about you, but my experience of Gary is kind of like dreadlocked and screaming from True Romance or, Dracula, and very sort of big, over-the-top kind of characters.
Yeah.
And he does an extraordinary job at reining it in completely, donning the 70s specs and the Mac, and really toning it down and being just deeply intense. And he has to choose from... the cast is amazing. He's got Toby Jones, who played Capote many years ago. He's got Colin Firth, the King's stutterer.
He's kind of the go-to guy now for anything decently British and serious.
Colin?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, he's turning up in everything. So you've got Toby Jones, you've got Colin, you've got Irish chap Karen Hines, Tom Hardy from Inception, who's in the new Batman movie. I mean, wonderful cast. Kathy Bates has a relatively small role and is just brilliant. Not Kathy Bates, I'm sorry, Kathy Burke, the British comedian. So, amazing.
One criticism I saw from, I think, someone who was watching it in Canada, they walked out of the theatre. Too many white men in suits, couldn't tell them apart.
Well, but that's the 1970s, civil service high up, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is not spooks. I mean, okay, maybe we should be saying what this film is not. It is not Mission Impossible. It is not the Bourne films. It is distinctly not American. But even like Spooks, which is one of my favourite British television series. Did you ever watch Spooks?
Bits of it, yeah.
Yeah, I love Spooks, but it's completely in the 21st century. So they are tracking people's cell phones and using computers and DNA profiling and that sort of thing to find people. This is not that at all. So, I mean, at least it's very authentic,
Yeah.
because it is white
But you
men
had no
in
problem
suits.
following who was who?
I had no problem because I know, because they're all big-name actors.
Yeah, yeah.
When you watch the BBC television series of 79, I find that more difficult because these are actors I haven't seen before, apart from Alec Guinness. So that's a bit more challenging. But in this one, everybody will have seen these people in different roles.
Yeah.
But the thing with this film, you really do have to listen carefully, and
Okay.
you've got to be present, and you've got to follow it.
Yeah. Got to be engaged.
You've got to be engaged. I think it's almost like you get absorbed into the story. It's almost as if they're putting you into the story to try and find the mole in a way, but you've got to be,
Right.
you know what I mean? Ears flapping, little brain working very hard. And if, to be fair, if people are thinking, look, on a Tuesday night or whatever, I just want to blob out, this probably isn't for them. But this is a really intelligent spy thriller, and it's beautifully done.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Thanks very much, Lena.
Pleasure.
The film reviews in the Sunday Star Times as well, is where you'll find more there, and also lenalamont.wordpress.com.
Looking for the weaknesses in one another.